I just want to draw attention to a section I added of why to use lazy when injecting dependencies. So there's one pattern of dependency injection where we have a dependency injection class and you just assign all the stuff in. And let me see if I can zoom this in a little. Okay, that looks exciting. So you have your classes that do stuff, you have your trait that handles the dependency injection, and you just hook everything up. And here everything is concrete, so it's very simple. Z gets evaluated first, and then Y depends on Z, so Z is evaluated first, and then Y is created. So when everything's concrete, it's really simple. When you have something concrete depending on something abstract, it can get into some behavior that might be surprising if you're not thinking about the order in which things happen. So as I was saying before, when everything's concrete, things are pretty easy. Just stuff happens in the order in which you see it declared. When you actually have something that's abstract and something that's concrete. So you see 31 is abstract. I haven't specified what the string is. And 32 is concrete. Now the order actually gets a little tricky because what actually happens here is when you have your application extend the dependency injection, it linearizes the inheritance. And so what happens is as your first dependency injection gets resolved. So first Z, space is allocated for Z. And since we don't know what Z is right now, it becomes null. Then Y becomes a new Y with a Z, in which case Z is null. And then right here, Z is finally, we've resolved dependency injection, then we resolve application, and then Z becomes the thing, blah here. So when we see what we've actually created here, application.y.z equals null, because y was created first before z was evaluated. So, that's just happens. I think both Java and C# have this property where they just allocate the space before they actually invoke the constructors. C++, I believe, behaves differently. And you still have that problem, say, well, let's just make it lazy. So lazy is actually on the right track because when you make it lazy, you're making it evaluate in the order in which it's actually used at runtime. So now this has the more intuitive order. However, let's look at what happens here. So we've got Z string that's abstract, so it allocates that with null. Lazy, y equals new y of z on line 54 here. So again, we're fine because we haven't evaluated it yet. So we haven't fouled up yet. But then we have something that's not lazy, do new x of y, which forces the reification of y right here, and then which causes it to reify with z, which is again null. So if you look right here, you can see x, y, z equals null. Because y was created first, then x was created, then z was evaluated. So this is why what I tend, as soon as you've got one thing lazy in the chain, this is why I tend to make all my, in the dependency injections, I make everything lazy. So here we've got the abstract thing here, we make everything lazy. Now it will evaluate in runtime order. So here it allocates z, which is null, allocates y, which doesn't need to know about z yet because it's still lazy. There's x, still lazy again, so it doesn't do anything yet. And then finally, everything happens in runtime order. So when you come down here, you see you actually get the blah, and it evaluated everything in the right order. So that's just a little oddity that may burn people. I also want to address how this came to my attention. I was one of the early adopters of Scala. I think I learned Scala earlier than most people here. And I figured this out a long time ago, but because it was when I was originally learning it, I forgot why I did it. So I ended up with this habit. And this is so I ended up in actually what I would call a bad state. I had this habit that I didn't understand why. And it took one of the, during the onboarding process, one of the new people to say, hey, why are you using lazy there? And I realized I didn't have a good answer. So I was like, I don't know. And I take the attitude where if I don't know why I'm doing something, I just stop doing it. So I stopped doing it. I broke deploy all, and because I just took all the lazies out of there, and then after a quick debugging session, we quickly realized this was going on, and now I know why the lazy is in there. So then we put it back and got it fixed. But that's kind of one thing I want to draw attention to. This is a very positive effect. Is even if someone's like way more experienced than you in some domain, you want to question them, because when you question them, you're going to force them to remember the why behind why they're doing what they're doing. So you notice if this was never questioned, I would just continue to be ignorant. So I actually really benefited from someone less experienced than me questioning why I did something. So this is why you should always, all the new people, all the new hires onboarding, always make sure you understand why anyone more experienced than you is doing what they're doing, because chances are you'll end up helping them. And that's it.
Still chopping? Or just the wide connection?